Donald Trump submits his appeal and also posts bond in the E. Jean Carroll case, $91 million and change. That's a lot of money. And Trump signed the paperwork. A lot of this making its way around the interwebs. A lot of people on the left wondering, how did he get $91 million? Where'd all this come from? What companies are helping him do this? Why can't we just take all of his property, assets, and goods and then throw him in the river over the boat? Constantly from them. He just is going through the process, appealing this, as is his lawful right under American law. And people like Acosta come out and cry. Can't we get this guy already? They can't stop thinking about him. So let's take a look at what's going on. First of all, Trump submitted the notice of appeal. And they're very upset about this. This is the E. Jean Carroll case. You remember her. She's the woman who said she got Bergdorfed in a dressing room at Bergdorf. And the jury came back out and said, no, you didn't. Nobody Bergdorfed anybody. And in my opinion, the jury came back out and said there was a little DJ Diddle action going on, grab him by the purse situation because of Trump's prior statement about that. And he was talking locker room talk out there on, the bus with those guys in Hollywood, wherever that was. So the story is that now Trump wants to appeal this because there were some serious problems with the underlying trial. Evidence was kept out. E. Jean Carroll is a whack job, in my humble opinion, and she had a bunch of evidence that the juries never even saw about what she was saying in her books and all sorts of other places. So the story just didn't add up, and we'll see a lot of that fleshed out, but this is just filing the notice, and you can see it's short and sweet. They say this is notice given by Trump as he appeals to the Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit in New York, right above New York, that awarded E. Jean $83 million in damages. What a joke. Oh my gosh, it makes my skin crawl. $83 million. You know what size company that is? It's crazy. All the jobs and people something like that would have created. Like, what did Trump have to build to get $83 million? How many people had to be employed? What type of actual progress needed to be generated? And some woman who paints trees blue in the forests makes up a claim for 30 years ago that a jury didn't even believe about being AR'd. They said no. They said, you're not credible. Get out of here. And she gets $83 million bucks. Crazy. All from advert. It's a state attack, just so we're clear on what this is, right? It's not an aberration of the law. It's an orchestrated state attack, just to be clear. I don't want to be joking about what's happening. It is actually one prong of a multifaceted agenda that we're observing here and covering here in depth. So anyways, the notice of appeal is filed. They say all of the conclusions, all of the findings preceding this case now up on appeal. Alina Habba signed this one with D. John Sauer on behalf of Trump. And this is, of course, the final order that is on appeal. You see Judge Lewis Kaplan, he just scribbles this here, right? Happy done with this one. And he says $83 million. Now, the total appeal is for more because it includes interest and other penalties, but that is what is now happening. So Trump has submitted the appeal and they are also posting the bond. So Alina Habba has got this taken care of. And here is her declaration submitted into the court in front of Judge Lewis Kaplan, telling them that they've come up with the money. They say, look, I, Alina Habba, under U.S. law, I am managing partner of the firm Habba, Madeo and Associates. I'm counsel for President Trump. And I submit this declaration in support of the instant motion for an order recognizing the bond that was obtained by President Trump in the amount of $91,630,000 and to approve it as conforming to the requirements outlined under the rules. Now, here's how it works. On February 8th, this court entered judgment. They wanted compensatory and punitive damages, $83,300,000 to E. Jean, because that's how much damage was caused to her. And the jury also wanted to punish Trump. So Trump filed a notice of appeal March 8th, and that was on the first trial. Pursuant to this proceeding, President Trump has now obtained a bond issued by the Federal Insurance Company for $91,630,000. That's a lot of super chats, all right? A true and accurate copy of this bond is here annexed as Exhibit A. The federal rules of procedure provide for the posting of bond, and it stays the execution on the judgment. So they say here, at any other time after the judgment, a party may obtain a stay on the execution of the judgment by providing a bond or other security. The stay takes effect when the court approves the bond or other security and remains in effect for the time specified in the bond. So very simple explanation for how appeals work is a traffic ticket. And this was a civil case. Often civil traffic cases are. You get a traffic ticket for speeding. You're going 15 over. Okay, civil. They charge you. You contest it. Let's say you go to a hearing. You contest it. You lose. Cop shows up. You have a hearing. He says, nah, whatever. Judge says 50-50 or, 60-40. Preponderance says cop is right. You lose, right? So fines $250. You say, you know what? I want to appeal this because I think there was a problem here. You can certainly do that. And you can avoid the traffic conviction and the points that associate the traffic conviction from going onto your record if you post the bond. You post the bond, you file the appeal, the appeal works its way up. If you win the appeal and the case gets dismissed, guess what? Now you get the bond back and nothing went on your license. No points, no consequences of anything. It's not a judgment that was entered. Similarly, if you lose, right, if you go up and you lose, then the court, all they do is they just accept the bond. So they take your money that's already held in escrow. They just take that, then they enter the judgment and the points and everything goes on your record and you get that conviction. So same type of thing here, right? Putting it in escrow so that they can let the appeal work its way up. If the appeal comes back down, of course, they'll appeal to the Supreme Court, but this money will be held safe, theoretically. So they say, Alina continues, approval of this bond by this court is requisite to formalize the stay of the enforcement, and the bond secures President Trump's monetary obligations under the judgment and serves as a guarantee for satisfaction of the same if the appeal does not prove meritorious. So Trump respectfully requests that this court recognize the bond obtained by Trump in the sum of $91 million and approve it as adequate and sufficient to stay the enforcement of the judgment to the extent that the judgment awards damages pending the ultimate disposition of Trump's appeal. Alina says, I declare under penalty of perjury, this is true. Says, I've gotten it all taken care of and it has been submitted. So here's some of the paperwork. This is the bond. You see Trump as the defendant, E. Jean Carroll as the plaintiff. She sued Trump. The maximum amount, wow, $91 million. That's a lot. All this is, legalese. And here's the principle. Donald Trump with a copy sent to Alina Habba. The surety bond is Federal Insurance Company, Eastern Claim Service Center, Chubbs. And they say, here you go. Donald Trump signs this. Principal defendant Trump signing his name off as they secure $91 million. Just wild. So this guy also signs it. Douglas Irvin, probably going to get the wrath of the left. How could you help Trump get this? Ridiculous. So all this acknowledged, Palm Beach, Florida, signed there, notary public sat there, watched all this happen right in front of him. So as you can see, it is more essentially, theft of Trump's hard work, hard assets over the years. You just have these claims pop up and then poof, gone. So they filed this notice as well. Alina Habba told the judge, hey, just so you know, we've got this bond. This motion is supported by my declaration and other things. And the judge issued a response to this today. He said, after 10:30 a.m. today, Trump filed an application to approve a bond in the amount of $91 million and to stay the execution of the judgment. They say plaintiff E. Jean Carroll, this is Lewis Kaplan, the judge writing, shall file any opposition to this, including but not limited to the form, the amount, or the surety of the proposed bond or the proposed order, or her consent to the relief sought by the motion no later than Monday. In the event that there is opposition, the court will hear this on March 11th at 3 p.m. So ordered Judge Kaplan. So basically, Roberta and E. Jean are going to get the opportunity to object to this, and we'll see if they do. I don't know why they would. 91 million is 91 million. And E. Jean apparently is celebrating. It sounds like they are not going to object to this. Here is what Adam Klasfeld reported. He said that E. Jean evidently has a newsletter. So she sends people, who also have TDS emails every day or whatever. Maybe she shares her blue forest with them. But she says, apparently in her newsletter wrote this, though the illustrious Robbie Kaplan, that's the lawyer below, is strong enough to yank a golden toilet out of the floor at Trump Tower and toss it through the window, this bond saves Robbie the trouble of showing up with U.S. Marshals on Monday to do so, right? So these people are just celebrating property theft, really. Legal through a judge's order, but it's, in my opinion, created out of a corrupt fictional story that even the jury didn't believe as to the R count. So a lot going on there, obviously. A lot of statements on this and reaction. New York Times tells us the bond came from this outside insurance company. Federal jury obviously gave her $83 million. The bond is a promise from the company offering it. So the company is called Federal Insurance Company. It's an arm of the insurance giant called Chubb to cover Trump's judgment if he loses and fails to pay. So Mr. Trump must pay the company a premium and pledge collateral, including as much cash as possible. So they came up with some deal to get it done. Here's, collateral, here's property, whatever. Now, Alina Habba said that the judge should accept it. A Trump campaign spokesman, his name is Stephen Chung, he said in a statement that the bond had been filed in the full amount of the baseless judgment in the Democrat-funded Carroll witch hunt. But Miss Carroll's lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, declined to comment. Miss Carroll called this a stupendous amount. You better believe that's true. Now, though the illustrious, she wrote about, the terms of Trump's bond have not been publicly disclosed, but the bonding companies often charge a fee between 1% to 3%. Chubb in a statement said it did not comment on client-specific information. And the company said these bonds are part of an ordinary and important part of the American justice system. Judge Kaplan gave E. Jean some time to respond to this, and Trump is appealing a bunch of stuff all over the place. And a lot of people are very upset about that. So one of those people is this guy, and his name is Jim Acosta. Very upset that Donald Trump has the possibility ability to appeal in America. How dare he have due process? Why should the Constitution apply to him at all? This is ridiculous. It's enough already. We've heard enough. It's time to just seize everything, all of his assets, and eliminate the Trump name from all eternity.
And Jim, what do you say to all those Americans out there who are watching this, who are frustrated and say, you know, Trump is getting away with breaking the law, that he files appeal after appeal, he tries to delay every proceeding that's brought against him in a way that just goes against what our judicial system should be about? I mean, isn't he treated differently than just about everybody else?
Yeah, he is treated differently. He gets charged with multiple crimes, multiple Democrat-funded lawsuits. They try to remove him off ballots. They imprison anyone who even works for the dude. They try to de-license, disenfranchise anyone else who thought about it. It's crazy. The fact that he's appealing something is just his right as an American citizen. But Acosta's had enough of it.
In this country, I mean, just about anybody else would not have the ability to appeal things.
No one would have been charged.
Kingdom come.
Well, actually, they do have the ability to do that. That's part of our justice system.
Well, but for all practical purposes, it doesn't happen. I mean, the vast majority of defendants out there don't have the resources to drag everything out in umpteen different cases across the country.
He has too much money and too much resources. You know, not everybody gets to appeal like he does because they're poors, you know, and they can't afford it. It is true. It's hard to fight a legal case against a corrupt government. I did that for years, a long time. It's very hard. It's very expensive. It requires a lot of fortitude and a lot of willpower on behalf of the defendant in particular, and a lot of fortitude to do it. So the fact that Trump can do it is wild, first of all. The fact that he does have the resources to do it is incredible. And it's exposing to all of us the corruption that runs throughout the veins of our entire federal apparatus, not only the DOJ, but everything they touch, the FBI, DHS, and all of the other agencies combined. So Acosta crying about the appellate process. Maybe we should just get rid of trials too. Should we? Jim, should we just get rid of all the trials too? You can be the verdict, the juror, and the executioner. How about that? And they would take that. Enough already, all right? Just put Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and Jim Acosta on a committee, and they can dictate what works for American justice. So Trump appeals and posts $91 million, which I know, you know, these numbers are so big, they lose their meaning, but that is so much money, and it's property. It's indicative of value that was created, and our court systems and politically funded attacks are taking it away. It's insane, but it's happening in America, and they're going to do it with a bigger verdict with Letitia James right around the corner. So we're going to be here continuing to cover this outrage, and we'll follow the appeal. We'll see what else is happening in New York. My friends, thank you for subscribing and joining us as we do. Thanks for inviting someone over here to join us so that they can stay apprised of what's happening as well. We got great links down in the description below, including robertgovea.com, where we now have our calendar available so you can check out what's coming up in all these trials, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here on the next one.